It's kind of significant for me because the last clinic I did here was the last clinic I did. It was 87. Must have been December or something. Served a couple of months sentence down in Sioux Falls with the band down there. Yeah. So really, it is great to be back here at Marguerite's, because this is the first clinic I've done since then. So, be gentle. I never told them that it's going to be perfect, but it's coming back every time I sit down, so I can't complain about that. I think it's a great place here at Marguerite's. I bought a set of 5 drums back in 1975, because that's what Billy Cobham had at the time. And I think my credit is still good. And it really is a good place, and I want to thank them all. I think Marguerite's a very straight-ahead, very professional person, and I appreciate that. And Scott's done a good job of setting the drums up left-handed, backwards, thanks to my father, who also played backwards. So I've been playing, sitting in for 28 years and saying, "You mind if I turn your drums around?" And a lot of those places, the drums were funky in the first place. They even set them up backwards. And the first time it's up over here. So, my motto has been no excuses. So I have no excuses. And it works good because there's too many guys that don't, you know, it's not their pedal, it's not their sticks, it's not my drums. Move over, there's 90 guys behind you that aren't going to complain. Get out. Anyway, it's great to be back playing hardball, which is what I'm trying to do on the West Coast again. And I came back here to play with my good buddy Dakota Grammar. We slammed the other night down at the Fargo Theater. I don't think you all were there because I don't know if there were quite this many down there. But you should have showed up. We had a great time. And it was the ideal situation for me. No rehearsal, no sound check. Let's go. When you work with Gino Vanelli, rehearsal is a dirty word, believe me. I mean, it comes out sounding great, but it's too long. So, tonight, what are we going to do? I'll try to play a little more when I feel your attention going somewhere else. I mean, gee, it's Tuesday night, it's almost 8 o'clock, there's got to be something else here to do. What I want to try to go over a little bit is kind of how I work with guys that come over for lessons. I do a lot of teaching there. In my garage, which is the official clubhouse of the Woodland Hills Drum Club, and we have a good old time over there. The bums like Greg Bissonette and Marguerite and Bill Perry and Billy Ward, another guy you might not know who's a really good player. He played with Yoko Ono and Ace Frehley for a while. 2 of my favorite artists. And, well, I should give those guys a little appreciation because they gave a life-saving benefit for me a few years ago, where they all put it together and played at the Guitar Center in Hollywood. Greg, Myron, Vinny Caluta, Vinny Appice, Carmen Appice, Mike Fisher, Steve Smith, Terry Bozio, Ricky Lawson. So it was pretty serious, although when I came out, I knew a lot of the kids there didn't know who I was, but like I told them, hey, I'd pay $15 to see these guys too, you know. It's serious. In fact, we had one just a couple of Sundays ago for a teacher out there named Richard Wilson, who's having some health complications, and I got to play at that one. Same stage, same place, only playing rather than rolling around. And I told them they tried to wheel me up at that place, and the first thing I said was, doing things like this is one of the easiest ways to make me want to get out of this damn chair, because nobody could drive it right. They're all practically tipping me off the stage. So I'm out of that, gave that to the Disabled Veterans Club. Hope they make a good use out of it. I don't need it. And anyway, at this clinic, or this benefit we played, I got to play with Louis Bellson. It was David Garibaldi, me and Louis Bellson, Chad Wackerman, Chuck Morris, and then Goo Goo, and Bobby Rock. pastiche of styles. That was a lot of fun. And Louis Bellson was the greatest. He just when they were all getting tired of the same groove we were playing, and he changed it, kind of double-timed it, and then in the middle of it, he went into some of his signature stuff. Kind of like we all go. So we were echoing what he did, which was pretty cool. And I managed to raise some money for this guy. So, who else do I need to thank? My mom and dad are here, and my girlfriend Jennifer. And I've been teasing them the last few days. I figured they'd be over at Taco John's because Jennifer took potato fillets. I gave the big introduction. We'll be right back. Okay. So, I don't know, this is pretty casual. We can take some questions. I have a lot of success teaching guys to play things slow, because naturally they all want to play it faster. Speaking of metal guitar players. So it's really important to learn to play everything real slow. So I'm going to play just a slow tempo and show you maybe what you can do with it, how you can bend it. I guess when I was a good starter, what I want to try to do when I have students over, I teach things in a straight kind of feel, like I was playing, and then teach the same things in a shuffle feel. Those are two of the main divisions, and then we play, say, 8th note triplets, or 16th note triplets. You with me, Mom? She probably is. So you start with basic stuff, and then you can mix them all together. And towards the end of this, we'll see if I can pull it off. So let me just play a slow tempo first, and we'll try to get a feel for that. Then you can double it up, and it sounds even cooler than it's already fast, because then when you try to double it up, there's no way very many of us can do it right, maybe Vinny or somebody like that. But the important thing, if you are players or if you're beginning players, don't try to go faster, try to go slower first. It makes a lot more sense. And listen to me, because I'm self-taught and I play backwards. A groove that I've been having a lot of fun with, I have to call it kind of a Bo Diddley groove. And it fits along with his guitar, which is kind of lump, dump, dump, bump, bump, the bump, bump. So if I go. you're just playing along at the same tempo, say, the band's going, then you just kind of sneak it in. That guy's picking it. But that's a good one to practice slowly because almost every 16th is played. So that is a really good one to work on real slow. So then, you can go to the gig, your girlfriend shows up, and then you can go. There's one variation. Instead of playing it on the snare, they, let's say the one, E, 10, you can play all three on the hi-hat. Last time I was kind of into some of that Latin samba stuff, and this is kind of like the tour went south or north to Louisiana, because that's a little more what this is about. Maybe we can talk, maybe I can condescend on Louisiana music this far north. A lot of the guys out there that play that stuff really have a superior attitude. Like, yeah, I play a second line, kind of Louisiana style. And all it is you put the backbeat wherever you want and stay in time, and you're hired, you know? Don't let them make you say, oh, how do you do it? How do you do it? So you got 16 beats on the 16th notes. You pick any one you want, put the snare there. We're in. It's gumbo time. I got some good friends that would shoot me for talking like that. But the bullet's going to slow me down. So that's practice slow. Are there any questions? You want to do some questions? Right? Yeah.
Do you have any advice for the seating position, arms position, height?
Yeah. Seating, I always try to I sit pretty low because that's how it suits me right now. I do all rim shots. And I always try to keep my lower leg at least straight down, if not a little ways out. Because sometimes you're on top of the drums and your foot's going back, so it goes out and then back, and your toes are trying to go out again. That doesn't I think you're struggling with yourself at that point. So I would say try to have as good a posture as you can, and keep your elbows tucked in. And it is a lot in the wrists. And you mean height, like seating? Yeah. Whatever suits you, because I'm pretty tall. I have guys that are taller that sit lower. But and another thing is, as long as your knee isn't going up and then down. Because if your knee's going up and then it's going back, then your foot's coming out. Then even if you pick any kind of backbeat, you're not going to get the gig, you know? So yeah, try not to at least keep your knee, the highest it should be, in my opinion, is at least level, but never going up. Because that's, you're gonna have to lift up here too. And like Greg said in his video, this is just my opinion, and that's really a good point. Because some of those teachers and different guys think that theirs is the only way. Heel down, powder puff basement, boom, boom, boom. It's the only way to do it. You can't wear track shoes, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So it all works. Whatever you're comfortable with. I think actually, although you are getting to see some people in here with clinics and bands, things like that. At Sioux Falls, when I grew up, I didn't get to see anybody. My guru was Ginger Baker. I never got to see him. So I think in a way it's kind of neat to be a little bit isolated back here as far as maybe developing your own style or something, or finding your own way to do things. But I think I'd have to admit, if I could have seen Ginger Baker, I would have gone. I would have paid. I've gotten to meet him since. He had his 50th birthday, I think it was last year sometime. And our drum club gave him an old snare drum. And it was pretty exciting. He still sounds real good. Any other questions? Yeah.
I was wondering, in December issue of Modern Drummer, said that you had a chance to play with Tommy Bolin for a while. I was just wondering what that was like, how long you played.
I played with him in '76. I was with John Pondy, and it wasn't in that article, but there was an interview in another article with Pondy, the Modern Drummer, talking about his drummers, and he mentioned how when I was playing with him, a rock guitar player was coming in. And that's exactly what happened. He was coming to the gigs and he just dangled a bigger carrot in front of me. And at the time, it was kind of a necessity. And so I joined in late '76. And I was playing with him when his tragedy occurred later that year. So it was fun. It was a good band. Jimmy Haslip on bass, who's now with the Yellow Jackets. Max Rosenthal on keyboards, who's a singer with Jack back in Heart Attack, and I was singing with 38 Special. And they had a great single out last year. Love Needs a Second Chance. Went to #1. Don't buy the tape. The single was great. The rest of the tape, how many ways can I go? Next song, Please Forward. Save your money. I hung it outside overnight so I could take it back. But Tommy Bolin, we were just talking the other day, he had a great knack for not spraying every solo, doing notes. He would just wait, string along, drip along, and he would just do a little flurry. And it was so much more effective than in your face through the whole solo. He really had a really graceful way of doing that. In fact, a lot of people think his best playing was on Billy Calvin's first record, Spectre, where he really sounded great. He said when they were doing it, Jan Hammer, the keyboard player, was so outside, he didn't even know what key they were in, but he just kept playing. And it really came off great. So that was fun, and he was a great guy. Any other questions? Yeah.
What was your favorite type of music? Did you enjoy the Gene Vanelli stuff? Say Brother to Brother?
Yeah, that was so rehearsed. I was telling Bill that we were talking about how fun was not to rehearse. And he is the other extreme. The pendulum's over here, 8 weeks rehearsal. I think I got out of a few weeks of it somehow. I rearranged my sock drawer or something. But his show was really, really together. The sound was, back then I was 79 when we did the Brother to Brother tour. And the sound, to this, hardly a week goes by, I went into some of it, I saw that tour, the sound was amazing. And for me it was cool because drums were second after his vocals, as far as in the mix and as far as openness. The rest of the guys mostly had to play parts, especially the keyboard players. I think we had 3 of them. And with those old analog synthesizers, enjoyed that. Luckily, I played in a lot of different bands, from Tommy Bolin and Gino's a different thing. This is a real tight show. Tull was just weird English hippie rock. They didn't know what time they were playing. Anything. There was a song on the album called Pine Marks G. You can tell me what that time that was in. I mean, I can remember it, but it's something like this. Because there were pauses, but I just learned it the way they learned it. When we came up with the tunes on that album, each of us came up with that part, but that was a unique way of writing music and recording it and writing around his acreage while the bass player fixed his parts. That was a lot of fun. Another band that I never rehearsed with, never had a sound check with, was Tower of Power. First time I played with them, we were in, I think, Seattle, and we talked about it on the plane, and I was feebly writing out my road maps to the different tunes, because they had a big medley of about 12 of their tunes. So that was challenging, but I was a big fan of it, so I knew a lot of their stuff. So that was fun. And then another sentence I served was in Vancouver with a Canadian band called the Headpins. And they're a good band. The problem was the guitar player was also a drummer. Need I say more? Yeah, I like to play like you did. Yeah. And how do you do that again? Yeah, I put you playing, I'll see it. What else? I played with some, I really enjoyed backing up singers with like a Gino Vanelli. I played with a lady named Phyllis Hyman that I met. They opened up for us on the Gino tour, which is another thing important. You gotta remember networking. You meet people, you give them your card, give them your stick if they spelled your name right, you know, so they can get a hold of you. But that's real true. Part of this business is you gotta just get out and mix with people. Be glad when somebody else gets the gig. Otherwise, you could suffocate yourself by thinking, what a jerk, I got more towns than he does, and I could have done it much better than him. Doesn't work. There's room for everybody. So have I gone off on a tangent far enough from the original question, which was, who did I enjoy working with?
Favorite type.
Favorite type? I would say Tower of Power is the most fun. I mean, Headpins was, Tower of Power was. I do enjoy all different kinds. It's really the only way to go. Because if you want to make a living at this, someone calls and says, well, my worst nightmare would be, we got a country band, we need a drummer tonight. So you cover the phone for a minute. Yeah, where is it? Oh, Santa Ana? Oh yeah, great, yeah. But the best thing that happened to me is that I played with all these different types. That my first good gig, or real gig, was with John Ponte a long time ago when the fusion era was still happening. And so I learned a lot from him just as far as finesse and when to go to the ride cymbal and the solo and little things like that that really make the sound much more together. Plus I got approximately 65 trillion notes out of my system in that band. And that's important because I guess it would be kind of like being a millionaire or something, because a millionaire can come in here and say, oh, it's not that big a deal. But Jim, you will never realize that until you're a millionaire. So I can't say, look, you don't need to play all those notes, get a life. But you got to go through that at some point, and I did with that band, because I was in the fusion era, so a trillion of them. Played a few notes with another band out there called Clown, a little later on, that Billy was in. Wow, we played notes. In fact, in that band, we did a lot of shuffles. We were talking about that because I got tired of playing shuffle, and he had a hard time doing the lead singer boogie with a shuffle. The phony. But I wanted to do some shuffle stuff. I know there's some blues drums out there. And I played this Tuesday night jam. I probably already said that. And a lot of guys sit in and play blues shuffles instead of the slow blues. So some of the ways that we've been doing them, one real basic one that I play, instead of going, I do this, obviously. Soloing with the bass drum straight, which is a good way to do some of those divisions, like eighth note triplets. Which I did the other night and it felt so sweet. The whole band, I shouldn't have done it, but it's this cheesy club in Canoga Park, and why not? You know? So it was right in the middle of a verse, too. The guy was singing. Let's see, what were we playing? So if you need 12 of them, that's 6, 2, 2, 3, 4 by 6. If you do two fives and a 2 at the end, guarantee the whole band just went, oh! It was so much fun. All that is you're playing, you go, just to go groups of 4, pretty deadly too. Because there, you need 3 4s. And a lot of this is simple math. A lot of youngsters just pull out your calculator like you do at school. So you need 12 of them. So we're going 3, 2, 4. It is a fun feeling, though. The whole band just like they hit a patch of ice like you do here in the winter time. It's fun. I loved it. And it was my gig anyway, so I was back next week. But that's kind of what we get into in the teaching that I do is, so you get down 8th on triplets, you get 16th and then 16 triplets. So basically that is 8th on triplets, 16th of course, and the 2 and the 3 and the 16 triplets. So you got shuffle or straight time, you got 8 no triplets, straight 16 or 16 triplets. That is a great beginning, and once you do that, then you get into groupings of 5s and 7s. You start with groups of 3 and 4, 5s and 7s, and try to incorporate the bass drum foot in one of each of those groupings somehow. So you don't just do that when you go to a film. Blast through it, or else just leave your foot alone. It's more fun to try to incorporate it a little. Anybody else have a question?
I was gonna ask you something. You're not left-handed, are you? But you play left. There's a lot of guys that set up a kit right, and they'll ride on the hi-hat with their left hand. I notice when you're riding on your hi-hat, you prefer like cross arm, but you can play either way. I noticed like on one of those numbers you were playing, like quarter notes with your right hand, because is it more comfortable for you to cross?
It's just how I got used to it, because the other way makes perfect sense, you know, unless you're playing this way. They're going to start to go. That's the only difference, but it really makes sense. Simon Phillips and those guys, I think they and Billy Cobham, Lenny White, they play with their right over here and their hi-hat here. So that makes perfect sense to me. This is just the way we all got used to it, the same way as we all used to play like this. Not because you're at the set, it's because the guys were dodging muskets and holding their sailing board up. That's how this came about. Because it doesn't make much sense when you go around like this. It's like when I try to butter bread or something. It makes sense, in my opinion, anyway. I used to love to go to traditional in the old stuff. Ways to come back on that. My hi-hat foot, bless its heart, it's still kind of sleepy, so I'm going to get that back at it. But whatever's comfortable. You should be able to play a little bit. A lot of those Latin rhythms. You know, you should practice them with both hands. I really don't know why. Just in case the guy on fire says, can you play that starting with the other hand? Yeah, sure. I don't know. Some guys say, well, I played the double bass and went through all the rhythm books with my feet. I think I'd rather go shopping or something. There's got to be more to life than rudimental feet. Not that it might not be a good exercise, but to me, double bass, which will be back soon, is basically the same thing. Triplets, 16ths, low triplets, just kind of enhancing the feel that you're going into. Any other questions?
How about frustration practicing? You know, if you're working on something, you just can't seem to pick it up. I run into that sometimes. I'll slow something down as much as I can, and it still doesn't seem like it feels right.
I found with the same problem that there's just that point where it finally clicks in, and then you kind of have it. But don't flog yourself. I would say when it doesn't quite happen, leave it alone. You know, I kind of believe that rather than forcing yourself, because this is something we're supposed to do because we love to do it. I mean, that's how we all originally started, and then we've all gone all sorts of different directions for different reasons. And sooner or later, you get back to just being glad that this is what makes you happy. That's why you're still doing it. But I wouldn't really force yourself. I've never been one for that kind of stuff. I've probably been a little too much the other way. Oh, doesn't feel right today. Go to the beach. But it is. I mean, we should be enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a hell of a lot more now that I'm back at it. And a lot of that has to do with me not being sure if I'd ever get back at it a few years ago, which is an interesting perspective to look at it from. So it feels great. I mean, I started out on electronic pads. A friend brought home and set them up. That wasn't too exciting, but once I got back to the real thing, it's kind of like Jeff Porcaro, who's becoming my favorite drummer. In the last interview, the Roundtable LA session guys, and they asked everybody about their racks, and he said, well, I've got a double door Kelvinator with the ice maker and whatever, electronic stuff. And they asked Jeff, he said, I really kind of remember using electronics on session. I like that. That's the way it is. All these other guys they all say, well, we have to keep up. I got this because I have to keep up. Basically, what the translation is, if I get the gig with you because I got a rack, I have to do it. A lot of them. So, damn, a lot of tangents again. Yeah.
How about quality practice time, like you practice with bands, and sometimes you can't forget about the drummer and the other guitar part. Have you ever ran into class like that?
Where you have to kind of wait around until they get it? Yeah. I have, although they used to call me Hitler at most rehearsals. I don't know, I used to be kind of ruthless. I didn't, if they can't learn it, get together with the other guitar player, the bass player, and learn it on your own. But yeah, you got to be real flexible with it. But I know what it's like. But that's all part of the beauty of it. We've been through so much, and all you can do is experience it. And if it's a good band, stay with it and tolerate it. If it's not a good band, back up, You can save yourself a lot of trouble too, but I don't know, I shouldn't give advice so flippantly. I don't mean to. Because as long as you're in a band, I guess what I would say about quality practice time is you're there and the band's rehearsing, so you're getting another couple hours under your belt, no matter how tedious it is or boring. It's better than being somewhere else not doing it, because it all helps. Even that Mexican restaurant I was playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday a few weeks ago, 5 sets, half price on food. Before the last set, just as we're ready to fall asleep, you guys want some food? Yeah, great, But for me, I'm doing all that now because I need to practice, because every time I play, it gets better. And more gigs, have more food. If I gain a little more weight, Jennifer, what can I tell you? Question?
How long were you with me?
Must have been about 2 years, I would think. And I mean away, period. And when was it? It was a year ago last April, I think. My good buddy, Craig Bissonette, you all know, drummer with me in person. I love that. Because that's who we played with before we played with David Rock. He had a gig in a little club, and he was over at the house. He said, "Why don't you play tonight?" And I thought, "Are you crazy?" As I was gimping around somewhere looking for my cane. He said, "Come on, we'll do it." He threw my drums in the car and took them over there, and I thought, "Wow, this is scary. Okay, maybe I'll play one song." I made it to the first set. I thought, yeah, I'm going to try it. It was the first song, the next set. Pretty soon it was the last set, and I was out of body. Right here going, wow, this foot's still moving. Can you believe it? I got to call my kinesiologist, my nephrologist, my homeopath, psychotherapist, and tell them. But that was pretty damn exciting. So I've kind of got a whole new perspective on it, which is pretty cool. And then the next week, I made a nuisance of myself. It was on Sunday night, so I called, Greg was subbing on that, so I called the guy whose gig it was. So oh yeah, I heard you played last week. How was it? It's pretty good. You think I can play this week? So 6 months later, they were kind of going, yeah, Mark, don't you have to go back to your folks or something? But that was fun. One night, in fact, we had fun with our telephone answer machine messages, and I think that was a Sunday night gig, so on Monday I made a new one. Hi, this is Mark. Thanks for calling. Yeah, I played a gig last night. Who was loading up my drums? The drummer, just the tone, the drummer, David Rock. Bill and Greg, and that was pretty fun. And luckily they didn't call before I changed it. Any other questions?
Do you have any thoughts on hearing protection, like
If you can stay behind the line of fire, you're ahead of the game. If you can see the side of the Marshall stacks, you're in the right place. If you can read the logo, you're in trouble. Because I haven't had any trouble with that as far as I know. That's one thing. I don't think I've been to an ear specialist. But yeah, I think the drummer has an advantage. You gotta watch out for that monitor too. Especially for the big venue, you got a big side fill there. But it really is better to be behind a guy like Billy or Mike. They're out front and there, pay the price, I guess. But when I was with Jones Bonnie in little jazz clubs, that violin could get up there and register. That sometimes I just kind of went into a daze and thought, wow, that's loud. And it was such a high pitch. But I guess you just gotta watch it. Get back, you don't want to get too far back, right, Dad? Because all the other bands I've been in with the bass players in front would take a break and they go, you guys sound good. Doug, you're standing right in front of Mark. Which I appreciate, because, I don't want to be staring at him either. I've never tried earplugs. I may have tried it once at a rehearsal. I didn't like the feel of them at all. But you can't really get the full effect of it. Anybody else? Yeah.
Any philosophy on the number of drums?
That's a good question. I try to stay on common ground there from these kind of giant kits to the little razor kit, I kind of tailor it around the gig myself. Lately I've been using these sizes 8, 10, 12, 14, and I have a 16. And mine are DW drums. And so that 16 is just too big sounding. Because my 8 sounds about like a 12. So I guess you guys should start stocking some DW. Until then, these are pretty amazing drums too. But I like smaller ones cymbals, 14, the 16, the 10, 13 hats, 20-inch ride. But then I played with another guy a few weeks ago, and I took that stuff, and it wasn't loud enough or big enough. So then I just bump up one. I go 16, 14, 12, 10, and bigger cymbals. So for me, I guess I have the luxury of selection. If you don't, I would say stick to basics with the 22-inch kick, which will go either way, and maybe 10, 12, 16 or something. But as far as the number of drums, whatever you want to pay for, whatever you can talk them into, go for it. Anybody else? Very nice, you don't have to leave me hanging up here.
Play some more.
Play some more. Let me see, what do we... crazy way to make a living, isn't it? Any questions? Yeah.
Are there any exercises that you recommend for like enhancing endurance?
I think the best way one of the best ways is to play with a trusty bass player. And just have him hold it down, and you can try, as far as playing triplets against the field and that kind of thing. If you want to practice independence, like hands against feet, the best way to do it is either write it out and see where they fall, you know, where the foot falls in the 4 beats, and where the accent is on the snare, that kind of thing, and actually dissect it. But first, just try to fall into it, see if you can do it that way, because that's a lot easier. If you're lucky enough, you can hear it, you know, how it's falling. But I think the best way to practice is either with a good bass player, keyboard player, or guitar player, so that they can hold it down for you. And then you can try to bend around, because those basic divisions, 8-note triplets, 16 triplets, will give you all this different kind of phrasing when you mix it all together, like a vocabulary, you know, when you try to make sentences out of it. Yeah, that's my trite comment for tonight. You try to make a sentence out of it, and hopefully a paragraph. But it's true. Any other questions?
What
Yeah.
about tuning some drummers who single head, double heads?
I like double heads a lot, especially on the snare. I do. I like double heads a lot. We just saw Phil Collins a few weeks ago, and he had those grudges with the one heads, and they sounded great. But he's like the only guy I know that can still make those sound good. With the deeper shells, I think the bottom head is nice. What I usually do, not that I've done it here, because I kind of just tune the top, but I tune the bottom head a little bit higher. Except this one is exactly the same. These are up a little bit high. Some guy tuning them here, Steve Smith, was it? I'm experimenting with those Remo Legacy heads. The LA ones, which are ambassadors, are a little too heavy for me. So I used to be the LD, the diplomats. They're pretty nice, because from what I can tell, nobody uses any kind of muffling anymore. So all those, the old Gretsch that we saw in Sioux Falls, I sold the guy with the lawnmower muffler inside. I don't miss those at all. But, does that answer your question? Just kind of to your ears how I do it. Actually, the DW drums I'm playing, they have a thing called, what is it? You go out and you pick out the shells themselves, and you just have a bare wooden shell and you hit it, try to get a tone close to how you want the drum to sound. And as crazy as it sounded to me when I went out and did it with them, and saw when they go through. So if you want your drums to go boom, 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 you find shells to do the same notes all the way down, even the bass drum, depending on what kind of thud you want on it. And I did that, went through it, and they do sound great. I mean, everybody has been borrowing these drums. That I'm kind of learning from the DW people. He uses, because I had another one that had kick drums, and I couldn't get it to sound at all. And he loosened everything way, way up. So he keeps it real loose on both sides. Maybe even a little looser than this, and I use, I can't tell, this is the XL356 LCC zip head. I can't see if there's a muffler in here or not. But I use one of those Remo mufflers, the big, thick ones inside. That's true. All the guys. Greg calls up and says, suddenly all my drums are locked up. Oh, all 40 sets? So he uses them at the baked potato, and the next day he goes out and gets his edges done, like the DWs and the rims. Then Doan called up, says the same thing. I'm doing a session and I can't seem to find my drums. Can I use one? But of course, those guys did anything for me and supported me, so $50 a drum per session. Anybody else?
You ever use pinstripes or hydraulics?
I haven't used the hydraulics. The pinstripes I like, but I think the legacies are about like a pinstripe. In fact, you can get them, right, Scott, you can get a legacy that is a pinstripe with a coating on it, something like that. I like them if your drums are real live, or if you're in kind of a recording setting. I do like them, or even a club, but I don't want it to be too loud. But again, I think it's whatever the gig is that you're doing. In fact, I kind of like the coated ambassadors on the tops and clear ones on the bottom. I think that's what Steve Smith uses too. Anybody else?
You thought about doing a instructional video now, or?
Man, if I do, it's got to be something different. That's all I can tell you. Because I don't think I've ever made it through any, except maybe Greg's, because we're in the credits. Jennifer took the photo on the back of it, so, you know, you gotta watch that. I could imagine doing it. Don Perry is just in the middle of one. He's taking forever and stressing and re-editing and blah, blah, blah. And I can't help but think, man, turn on the camera, here's what you do, and I enjoy it, thanks. There's got to be some simplicity somewhere. I think Greg's is brilliant, and his is a funny story with his, because he did it himself, and then sold his BCI. So he went into a little video school near where we live, and to start off, he comes in the morning, fresh, everything's just right, and the guy at the school goes, "Oh, I'm right with you, Greg, to speak with these bankruptcy lawyers." And only Greg can get into these stressful situations. So he wasn't sure if the place was going to stay open long enough to get his 8 hours of editing time or something. So then he sits down, everything light, closed, and he just plays his roaring solo for 10 minutes. They stop and they go, "Did you want us to take that?" I'm serious. Unbelievable. So, with all that in mind, I think he has a great one. He gives so much information. And if you want to talk about misguided people, he has a friend that transcribed everything on that video. Give it a life, I can't believe he did that. All that slurp. Repeat signs, you know. Got it, triple dotted, quarter flip up. There's got to be something more fun than that. Laser surgery or something. Anything else? Appreciate you all coming out, because this is kind of a, like I said, the last one I did was here, and this is the first one, and I hope to do a lot more. So we can travel, you know, see some sights. BW's got a factory in Europe now, so we can work sometime. Wow, this is fun, right? Scott, you're going to dock me for running over?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
We
Couple hours.
We got the room till midnight, so.
Is there any Mexican food? $2. Here, let me get it too. Any other ones? Mark, the kid's still awake?
No.
Oh, yeah.
How pre-written was the stuff with Gino? Wasn't he a drummer too?
Yeah. The good thing is, when I brought the Brother record, I got in when they just changed from all keyboards to use electric guitar and electric bass. So they weren't able to overdo that project like they kind of do. As much as I love them, they don't get enough product out because they're too much perfectionists, you know, they kind of burn the beans. So when we got in, we rehearsed for maybe 3 weeks on the new stuff. And he didn't, other than a tempo, he didn't really have anything for that. So it was a pretty magical home with that record. Speaking of left hands, because Carlos Rios, the guitar player, played left-handed, Jimmy Haslett played left-handed. So we always wanted to do a bar band, maybe endorsed by Alcoholics Anonymous, so that people could look and go, huh? I gotta quit this. But we never did. But it really wasn't. It was kind of an equal contribution. It was cool. And a lot of the stuff, like the tune Brother, I had something else work out at rehearsal, and that didn't work. So when we started tracking, I just changed it completely on the spot. So there was a lot of spontaneity on the record. But one of the other songs, River Must Flow, was the first take. A lot of them were second takes. So it was kind of magic, I guess, for that long ago. And those drum sounds still are pretty decent for 78. And a nice kit, boy. Gino has some cardboard Ludwigs. Remember the press board? It looked kind of gray with white specks inside. I think I had an 8, 10, 12, and I had 3, 5 floor toms from courtesy of Marguerite's music. And I had a 22-inch Ludwig and a 20-inch 5s. And they had rugs all over the tape, and the mics were stuffed way up. And it took us a 12-hour day just to get the drum sound. But it's worth it. I mean, those guys, their sounds are unbelievable. They have a new record coming out sometime this month in Canada and Europe. It won't be out here until maybe January, but it's really good. And I did a record with them with a Danish group called Kubasai. And those tracks were really cool. I did it on the new Akai digital 12 track. And it was all octapad and pedals, but the best. It really, really sounds good.
Were those single-headed toms on that?
Yep. Yeah.
So should Marguerite's be getting royalties?
Yeah, but only 2 of them were. I bought one. The other 4 time I bought some junkie or something. Those drums, unbelievable. I just had fiber cases for them, and we were on the road with Craney, just checking them on his baggage back then on the airlines. And one day we were watching him come down the conveyor belt, and here comes a handle of one of them with a tag on it, smiling. Here we are. There was no drum left on it. I mean, those drums exploded nicely. I think we went to Australia and the drums went to Japan. So we got to Australia, you know, a mecca for good equipment. We had to hire gear for the show. And of course, I had 2 single kits. And one was black and one was white. How nice. Checkerboard, you know. But the best part, I think the bass player had to play a Kent bass. Playing all this heavy fusion on a Kent bass. Too fun. No royalties, no, sorry. Anybody? Yeah?
Somebody over there in the one.
Well, I was just gonna ask you about the Gino's Black Car album. It didn't do so well. I noticed you did a few cuts on there. What was he trying to do on that?
I think he was trying to second guess the market rather than just do his own thing that was so successful and cool. He thought he wanted to sell units like Pat Benatar or somebody. So we did a whole other record after that never came out. That was when he was doing that. It was rocky stuff. It sounded real nice, but that never came out. The new stuff is more into his nice breathy changes, things like that. So I don't know, maybe he's come around a little bit. Black Cars, we did those tracks, I guess early '83. And I played, I triggered a Lynn machine, I think. I had little syndromes for targets. I mean, come on, those little ones went like that. And then I used a real snare and kick. And then they changed everything, and I wrote different songs around tracks, which was kind of a weird sensation. So when the record came out, you know, it wasn't anything like we did before. Our record came out, I think, 2 years later. But yeah, he's just been a little misguided, and he had a lot of problems with Arista Records. Didn't see eye to eye. I called him, we were in the studio, and Clive Jive Davis played him a track over the phone, and Gino said, no, I can't never do that. A couple months later, #1, Air Supply. You know, so You just sit back and learn, experience stuff, shake it off, and get even.
You plan to continue to play with them?
Well, he's going to do a little bit of a tour in Canada and in Europe when his record comes out, but I think probably I'll continue recording with him, see what happens. Canada's not that far, is it? You could go up there. What's the closest big city here? Toronto? Winnipeg. What's the closest big city? I've never been to Winnipeg. Been to Edmonton. It was a nice drive. 2 hours from the airport to the hotel. But yeah, they're going to be up there. They're doing lots of sequencing, taking 1 million sequencers. I think Mike Miller is going to play with them. He's been playing on the records. He was Sioux Falls boy. My favorite guitar player ever. Anything else? Okay, let's play it out here a little bit. We gotta think of something new. Time for something to show. Thanks a lot. Thanks to Marguerite and Scott for helping with the sound and lights. And Barry for getting us a read with that back. It's good to be back. And that's all I know for now, but I'll know any more next time. So I hope I see you. I wish you all a lot of luck. And if you're as lucky as I am to have parents that support me like this, you wouldn't have any trouble. And a good girlfriend too. Okay. Thanks a lot.